Hey guys, Lori here with Sew at Peace. So today I decided to make a scrappy quilt. I collect all of my scrap pieces in this little bin, so they can be anything as thin as this to as thick as this. So I chose a few different patterns for my quilt. So I'm not going to use any scrap fabric. It's going to be all the pinks, the greens, some red, some purple, some orange. And then I also have these larger pieces. So I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to do. So a lot of my scraps are like really thin. So these, I'm going to make a block out of it. So I'm just going to randomly sew, pieces together. It's not going to be straight by any means, but I'm going to square it out once I'm done sewing those pieces together. So I think I'm going to do some blocks that are scrappy, and then I'm going to do the same size block. I'm thinking maybe 6x6 blocks. So I'm going to make some solid ones with these pieces that I have here. And this is just leftover fabric that I have that are kind of odd shape. All right, guys. So I just organized my fabric pieces by length. So these are the really long ones. These are kind of like a medium size. And these ones are small. I think the shortest one is 6 inches, which is what I'm going for. So I'm going to start with the small pieces first. So I didn't exactly measure everything. It doesn't really matter because even if we don't make our 6 inches, we could cut it at 6 inches. So I was thinking about doing 6 inches by 4 or 6 inches by 6 inches. So I'll figure it out once I piece these together. So we're always going to do right sides together. And I just have my stitch length at number 2. So I didn't worry about ironing anything either. We're going to iron it later. So it's not a big deal. So I am just trying to alternate the colors so it's random. All right, the little piece is done. So now we're going on to the medium size. So we got some polka dots, we got the lemonade fabric, we got yellow polka dots, more lemonade, and this floral, we got strawberries. What are we gonna start with? We'll start with lemonade. I call this one lemonade because, or pink lemonade, it reminds me of pink lemonade. Well, this is pretty easy when you don't have a certain pattern that you need to follow. It just seems like it's going by pretty fast. And it's pretty fun, just being random. Make sure not to get that selvage piece in there. So the selvage is just that ugly piece that usually has like little holes in there on the other side. This one's just a little bit frayed, but we're going to cut that right off. It's also faster because I'm not pinning anything. It's just literally very, very random. We're gonna do another pink lemonade because we have a lot of pink lemonade. All right. I've never done a scrappy quilt, but this is pretty fun. It's a good way to use all of your scrap material. All right, and then here's this panel. I think it looks so pretty. I'm loving all these colors. Okay, and I'm actually gonna add these two pieces on here because um, they just seem too small for the other panel that I did. There's that one. Now on to the big one. I'm wondering if we could even make the whole tote bag out of just these scraps instead of using the bigger pieces. I was going to integrate, I was going to do like cut like a 6-inch by 4-inch or 6-inch by 6-inch. But we might have enough when we're done with this to just make the whole tote bag a scrappy quilted tote bag. All right, our last scrap. And then we figure out what's next. I'm not following a pattern, so I'm just winging it here. All right, there's the last panel. Okay, guys, so I just started ironing my seams flat. So we just open the seams and iron. So this part kind of takes a while to do. But I want to make sure that everything is nice and pressed before I cut it, so our squares come out as even as possible. Our blocks, I should say, because I don't know what size they're going to be at this point. We're just going to figure it out when we get there. But I've already done the smaller piece, so now I'm just working on this medium size block, and then we'll move on to the longer squares. So I was thinking it'd be kind of fun to like change the directions of the lines. So maybe have one block going with vertical lines and then the other block horizontal and like alternating. But we will see when we get there. It's kind of hard for me to film long videos sometimes because I don't have a video camera. I just use my phone. So the space is really limited. I just bought, oops, I almost burned myself. I just bought a SSD drive, I think it's called, recently. So that's helped. I still need to have some room on my phone though to do the initial recording, and then I transfer everything to the SSD card. Excuse my mess here in the craft room slash office. I had all my market stuff in the living room and I had to move it because we just got new couches. So my tables, my totes, everything is in here. Somehow I got everything to fit, but I need to probably move it because it's been hard moving around in here. All right, I think everything looks pretty good. I'm just gonna flip this around and iron the top part. Press the top part, I should say, not iron. Or is it iron? Iron or press, not sure. All right, that looks pretty good. I wish they made ironing boards a little bit wider. Maybe they do and I just haven't found it. They do have wool mats, but I think if I had a wool mat, that would eliminate some of my space that I have on my cutting table, and I already have a lot of stuff there. Well, I like to have the full space to cut, and then I have fabric. My cutting area is a disaster right now. I just bought some new fabric last week, and I plan to make some more Kindle sleeves with it. Maybe book sleeves, I'm not really sure yet, but for sure Kindle sleeves is going to be my focus. That seems to be the big seller at the markets, is the Kindle sleeves. So I am okay with it because they are fun to make. I really like the zippers that I put on there with the the ring pulls. Most of them have the ring pulls on them, except for the black zippers. I may get some ring pull black zippers later, but I want to go through the stuff that I have now. I was in a crunch and needed the black zippers, so I just ordered the ones that would be here the quickest, and that was the ones with the donut pull, which those are nice too. They have they're nylon with like metallic look, so they look like they're metal, which I like because the metal zippers are harder to work with. So the metal look is just fine for me. If you guys have done a scrappy quilt before, let me know in the comments and let me know what you made. I'd be curious to see what kinds of things people are making. I know the most common thing is like quilts, scrappy quilts, but smaller projects are fun to see. Quilts take a lot of time. This takes a lot of time, and it's not even a quilt. I mean, a blanket quilt. It's going to be quilted, but not a quilt. All right, we're on our last seam here. All right, so my phone just turned off. I think I missed some recording. Okay, we have our whole 6-inch wide piece. So now we're just gonna take it down the line. Cut 6-inch blocks. It's easier for me to cut on the right since I'm right-handed. See, like that? Probably not the safest thing. Okay, there's 6-inch. Ooh, that one's right at the seam. I don't like that. I'm just gonna put it over a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to cut right into the seam just because that would be kind of awkward. Hard to cut on this side for me. Yeah, if you get any that are like right in the line, I would suggest moving it over. Was that it? No, I have one more piece. Okay, I have the big piece. Totally forgot about it. Okay, and the one thing I forgot to mention too, when you're sewing your scraps together, if you line them all up on one side, it'll make it easier to utilize the full scrap fabric. And then when you go to use it, you just need to line it up or straighten it out, and then it'll be perfecto. I'm just going to turn this because I like to minimize the weird angles that I'm cutting. Okay, 1 6-inch strip. We might have enough width on here to do another. Ooh, I think it's gonna work. I think we're gonna have enough for another 6-inch wide piece. I'm so excited about this quilted tote bag. I think it's gonna be so cute, so summery. All right, here's our other panel. We're gonna cut 6-inch by 6-inch. Okay, 6-inch. 6-inch. Look at how fun these squares look. I am so obsessed. I think it's gonna be cute. So by going opposite directions, this is what I mean, is just kind of like alternating them. Or we could do them all vertical or horizontal, but we'll lay it out in a minute and see what it looks like. All right, guys, I'm gonna be piecing these together now. So I'm not gonna clip anything together. I'm just gonna start piecing it. Okay, guys, so I pinned these strips or these rows together, and I'm just gonna start piecing them together. All right, I also forgot to mention I opened my seams too on the blocks that I sewed together. All right, we're on our last row. I think it turned out super, super cute. Now on to making the bag. Actually, we need to quilt. So I took a 5-inch by 24-inch piece of fabric for my straps, and then I cut the fusible fleece 2 inches by 23 inches and just kind of centered it on here. And this is adhered. I just ironed it to the wrong side. So I'm just gonna I've never done it this way before, so hopefully it'll come out all right. But I'm just gonna flip this back to right sides together and sew along the edge, and then I'm gonna turn the whole tube. So we'll see how it comes out. And I'm just gonna sew kind of like right on the edge of the fusible fleece. So it'll help it to adhere a little bit better when we flip it. I don't know how sticky it is. All right, I don't know why I didn't start that at the top, but I'm gonna put some stitches in there. Okay, and then we're gonna do the second strap. All right, hopefully this isn't too bad since it's 2 inches wide. I have a tool, but I don't know how, I don't think it's very good. I have this turner thing, but I don't know how good it is. Might end up putting a hole in my project. We're gonna try this. All right, so I turned my straps. It wasn't as bad as it looked initially. So I'm just gonna top stitch both of the straps. And I'm just top stitching with the number 4 stitch length. All right, strap looks good. I like how nice and thick these are. These are super thick straps. Okay, so I'm gonna go and pin these to my bag. All right, guys, so earlier my camera ran out of space, so I had to finish this quilt. So all I did, since I did 6-inch blocks, I don't know if you can see me. Okay, so since I did 6-inch blocks, all I did was like on this whole line, I stitched on either side. There's the seam, I stitched there and I stitched there all the way down, and then each row this way I did the same thing. I didn't want to do any lines or cross stitch because the lines are all vertical. Then I added my batting. Well, I added the batting before I did the quilting, and then I just squared it all off and cut off the excess. Actually, you know what, I forgot to add my label. I'm going to add my label on here really quick, and then we'll add the strap. Okay, so I sewed my label on here, and I just chose the side I like the most. So we're going to tack these straps on here. So I like to put mine in 3 inches from the edge, and then I just let the very tip hang over a little bit. Okay, then we want to make sure we don't have this twisted, otherwise that would not be fun. And then 3 inches from the edge. Okay, so there's one side. Oh, it's gonna look so cute. Okay, and then the other side, we're gonna do 3 inches from the edge. Now I'm not adding any pockets to the outside because I think it's gonna take away from all the fun like pattern on here. So we'll just do an inside pocket. This has taken me like a lot longer than I thought. That's all right. This is gonna be for personal use. I'm not gonna sell it because it just takes me too long. Okay, so I'm gonna go and do just a little stitch along those edges. All right, I am back. So I just sewed these straps on, and you just face it down. That way when you pull it up, it'll look nice. So it's looking good. So now we just need to do the lining. Actually, we can finish this or we can do the lining, but I think I'm going to cut the lining first. So this finished product was 17 by 32 and a half. I'm going to use this polka dot material for the inside. I'm going to cut this 17 inches wide. I'm going to put this aside. We might have some left over in here for the pocket. Just cut off the selvage. We're gonna do 17 by 32 and a half. So we already cut it 17 inches. So this is our bag. Actually, I'm not gonna pin that because we need to put the pocket on there. So we will pin it after we put the pocket. So here's a leftover piece. And actually, I could probably just make this whole thing the pocket because that's a pretty good size and it'll fit in there. So I'm all about minimizing waste. So I'm just gonna put these wrong sides together, and I'm gonna go take this to the sewing machine. We'll just leave an opening at the top. So I'm gonna leave an opening here in the middle, and then just sew this, and then down. Same thing over here, and then we'll flip it around. All right, so I sewed the pocket. Just gonna cut the corners off. Cut a little bit from that side, cut a little bit of that side, and we're just gonna make sure we don't cut the stitches. I need my turner. Here's one. Good thing I got these. I got like a 5-pack of these on Amazon. It's great because I usually will lose them. I don't lose them, but they get caught like under fabric as I'm working. So I just, don't want to waste the time looking for my little turner tool. So I just grab another one. And then when I'm done, well, I can't say I'll put everything back because I don't always put everything back, but I will most likely see my original flipper turner thing that I was working with. Okay, here is the pocket. So I'm just gonna go give this a quick press. I don't know if I should do 2 pockets or 1. I think I'm gonna leave it 1 big one. So I'm just gonna take this to the iron and just flatten this out. All right, so I just gave this a quick press. Not perfect, but I don't mind it. So I just top stitched the top of this pocket too. I'm gonna put this 4 inches from the top. Gonna be about right here. And then we'll just make sure the sides are even. So it's about 3 3/4, 3 3/4. 3.5. So I'm gonna move it over just a smidge. All right, I'm gonna go sew the pocket on. So I'm just gonna sew along the sides and the bottom. So the bottom is where the opening is, where I flipped it. So this will be closed once I sew it. So I sewed my large pocket on, and just gonna cut this thread. These little snippers are not that good. I got them on Amazon in like a 3-pack. They seem good at first, but they're really not that good. So I'm gonna have to get another good pair of snippers. Okay. So I'm going to fold it right sides together, and I like to put a pin at the top. That way I know this is the line I do not sew, because this is going to be where the opening is for the bag. We're going to put one on the side because we're going to leave a hole so we can flip it. So that's going to be my indicator that I need to leave a gap. All right, so we're going to do our boxed corners. Actually, I'm not going to do my box corners yet. I'm just going to sew the sides, and I'll be back. And I'm going to sew the sides of the main piece. All right, so I'm going to get this part ready for sewing. So I'm just going to tuck in the handles, and I'm going to pin this together with the handles inside. And I'm just going to make sure my handles align. Okay, I'm gonna sew along the sides of these, and then we'll box it out once the sides are sewn. So I have sewn all the side seams. So I'm gonna box my corner from the stitch. So this is just a 2-inch by 2-inch square. When I first started making the tote bags, I was a little confused. Well, I didn't get confused till later, but some people say you're supposed to box the corners from like the actual corner after it's stitched. And then some people say make sure you box it from the seam where you have your stitches. So I think the most accurate way to get an even box is from the seam. So that's what I've been doing. The lining piece, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to box it from the seam. This tote bag has taken me quite some time to make today, but it's all right. I've been so busy making all this stuff for the business, working every single day, and it's nice to be able to make something for myself. I'm excited to see what everything or how the bag's going to turn out. It looks like it's going to be really cute. Okay, so I'm going to box the corner. So we just take it and make a straight line basically. All right, so I'm just going to go sew, and all my seams that I've been doing for the bag are 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to sew that, and then we're going to box the main fabric. So on this one, since it has the batting, I just make sure that I open that seam right there and sew it open. All right, I'm going to go take this over to the sewing machine and get it sewn. All right, so I just finished sewing all the boxed corners on this one too. What we're gonna do is flip this main piece right side out. I'm just poking out the corners. That's how it's looking. Pretty big bag. I'll be able to use this for the market or whatever I want to use it for. So we're gonna leave the lining fabric wrong side out, and we're gonna place the lining in the main piece and the lining. So I'm just leaving the pocket towards the back because I like the pocket to be in the back. So I'm just tucking in the handles because we don't want those handles getting sewn in the wrong place. And then what I'm going to do is just pin along the whole exterior, and I just line up the seams. I line up the side seams, start with one side, and then I work my way around to the other side, and then I'll do the middle. I don't know if you guys could see that up there, but I'm just pinning the whole top part of this. All right, I'm gonna go sew this. I'm just gonna sew along the whole top part here. All right, so I sewed the whole exterior, and we're just gonna pull the right side out from that hole we left in the side pocket, in the side of the lining. All right, it's looking good. It's a long tote. This is a little bit bigger than the ones I make and sell on my website. All we need to do now is we're gonna sew this side seam closed, and then I'm gonna tuck this in here, and I'm gonna top stitch along the whole top of this bag all the way around, and then I'll show you when it's all done. All right, guys, the bag is all done. I really love the way it turned out. I think it turned out super cute. I added a pink plastic snap button. I love how the front is different than the back, and the inside has the same yellow polka dot. And I also added a very large pocket to the inside. So I think it turned out really cute. It took me a very long time. Can't say I look forward to making another Scrappy bag. Scrappy bag. I can't wait to take this to my next market to haul around all of my market essentials. Let me know what you think, and I hope you like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a joyful and peaceful day.